Shalom, shalom. I'm gonna wait a little second, let some people come on in before we get started. So just give me a second, we'll get started. Give people time to come on in. 1 second. I'll be getting started shortly. Just give me a second, everybody. All right. I get started probably like 60 seconds. Just want to say shalom, shalom. NehemiYAH. In Hebrew, well, in English is I am Judah the Shootah. V'ani Yehuda Moshe ben Yisrael. And I am Judah Moshe ben Israel. So shalom, everybody that's coming in. That 60 seconds is almost up. We're going to go ahead and get started. Brought to you by Born Elite. Yep. Anybody need Born Elite shirts, holler at me. We're going to make it happen. We got different styles and things like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started real quick. So once again, all praise to the Most High. Name is on the begotten beloved Son. Definitely want to give a shout out to my brother Mosh and Judah Mac. We were having a conversation today, and the topic came up about concubines. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I've been asked this question for a while. Judah, what's a concubine? All right, so there's a few things I want to go over first before we get into actually what is going on with what a concubine is. So what I'll do is I'll show some examples first, real quick. If you have a Apple device, you can download My Sword. Let me turn this flash off. You can download My Sword. I'm sorry, eSword. I apologize. eSword. You can download eSword if you have an Apple device. If you don't, you can download My Sword. All right. So this is the app that I'm actually using to navigate through the Bible. Okay. So any Apple device, you can download eSword. All right, so first I want to start off with Genesis, the 25th chapter, real quick. Genesis chapter 25, and this is dealing with Abraham. All right, so here, this is what it talks about Abraham. I'm going to talk about in verse 5. It says, in verse 5, it says, and Abraham gave all that he had unto Yitzhak, meaning Isaac. Verse 6, it says, but unto the sons of the concubines. So we see Abraham, which our forefather, also had concubines. It says, which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, all right, and sent them away from Yitzhak, or Isaac, his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. All right, and shalom to everybody that's coming in. So I'm showing you that Abraham, of course, had concubines, all right. And that is going to be the topic today. All right, so we see our forefather Abraham had concubines, right? We know he had Sarah. We know he had Hagar. And after Sarah died, he also took Keturah, as we see here. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. So at that point, he's now married to Hagar, and he also had concubines as well. Let's get another example of Melech David, or King David. We're going to 2 Samuel real quick. 2 Samuel 5. And we're going to hit the 13th verse. All right. It says, and David took him more concubines. Look at that. It says more concubines. Right. And wives out of Jerusalem. All right. So that's the part I want us to focus on now. All right, after which is come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born unto David. Okay, now let's get another example. Let's go to the book of Judges real quick. Judges chapter 8, and we're going to come back and go over some of this, most high willing. All right, so here it says, and Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. So he had many wives, right? But the next verse says, and his what? Concubine that was in Shechem. She also bare him a son. See that? She gave him a son, whose name he called Abimelech. Let's get another one really quick. Let's go to what's that? Second Chronicles, chapter 11 and verse 21. All right, here it says, and Rehoboam loved Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, and said he didn't love her equal to all his wives. He said he loved her above all his wives and his concubines. Remember, that's going to be the focus. So one more time, it says, and Rehoboam loved Maacah, the daughter of Absalom. So he loved her. But did he love her equally? No, it says above. See that? He loved Maacah, the daughter of Absalom, above all his wives and his concubines. For he took 18 wives and 70 concubines. Now 1 is 20, but it said 70. So it says 70. So that's 20, 40, 60. So he had 60 concubines, and he begat 28 sons and 70 daughters. All right. Now, so real quick, I want to first show you that concubine and concubines in the Bible comes from the Hebrew word pelagish. All right. Now, so now dealing with that, what is a concubine? All right, because now we see here that our forefathers had concubines. All right, and a concubine is what we're about to talk about. All right, it's very simple actually when you really sit and think about it. Now, with that being said, I did something great for you guys. I typed out an entire lesson for you guys, and that's what we finna go over. All right, it's not that long. It's gonna be really quick. Hopefully you all take notes, and we're gonna go ahead and get some understanding. But before we do, I want to show you something so that you can paint a picture here. Look at this, guys. So in that 2 Chronicles 11 and 21 for the word concubine, as I told you earlier, it's pelagish. That's what we finna get into. All right, and notice you see a paramour, which we're going to be dealing with quite shortly. So we have pelagish in the singular form, and it says a derivation, a concubine, also masculine, a paramour. That's what we finna find out. What's a paramour? All right, concubine, paramour. So now we know that this concubine is a paramour. All right, but we're going to go deeper. Okay, so for example, shout out to the house of Judah, my wives, of course. Yes, I'm polygynous. Here we're going to go and we're going to get some understanding of Ezekiel chapter 23. All right, Ezekiel 23 and verse 20, real quick. So it's something I want to focus on in Ezekiel 23 and 20. All right, and hopefully you all are there. I'm not going to rush. Go ahead and give y'all a second. So we in Ezekiel 23 and 20. All right. So now, shalom. Which app? Are you talking Safari, or are you talking the eSword app? Which one were you talking about? Let me know. Just in case if you were talking about this here. This is eSword. If you have an Apple device. If you don't, you can download My Sword. All right. So shalom, Hebrew. All right. So now with that being said, here we have the word. Oh, here we go. My bad. Vatag Givah, meaning and she lusted. Al, meaning upon. Pelag Shehim, concubines. All right. And that root word, when you look up in the concordance, was the word Pelagesh. Pelagesh. Now here, this is plural for concubines, as in plural. All right. So now we're well, I'm actually just not getting into it for the person that missed the conversation. I am, but I'm not. But anyway, so this word Pelagesh would be singular, but Pelag Shehim will be concubines, as in plural. So this story in Ezekiel chapter 23 and 20 is given a parable of two sisters. All right. And when you get in, the two sisters basically is Israel, of course. But when you get to verse 20, it has something very interesting. So also I'm on Blue Letter Bible. All right. Blue Letter Bible. For those who have never heard of it. Blue Letter Bible. All right, so you can download that. Well, really, you can access this mainly on the laptop here. So here, Pelagesh, let's look up. This is the same thing. Notice it's called up on their paramours. Keep that in mind. But the Hebrew word is Pelagesh. Let's click on that really quick. For Pelagesh. All right, but in plural, if it's concubines, it would be Pelag Shehim. But if it's singular, it's Pelagesh. Okay? Pelagesh. But check it. Now, remember we just saw earlier concubine, paramour. I'm going somewhere with this, guys. So remember earlier, 2 Chronicles 11 and 21, when it said, and Rehoboam loved Ma'akah, the daughter of Absalom, above all his wives and his concubines. What is the Hebrew word for concubines? Let's look at it one more time. Pelagesh, concubine, paramour. It's the same exact Hebrew word. So when you see the word concubines, or once again in Ezekiel, let me go there really quick. So we see the word concubines, right? So in Ezekiel, let me show you one more time. Remember, oh no, wait, one more time. Remember, if you got a screenshot to do that. Remember, for the word concubines, it was in singular form, where it showed you the singular form, Pelagesh, right? Now let's look up the definition of the same word for paramour in Ezekiel 23 and verse 20. When it said, for she doted, meaning lusted upon their paramours. What's that word, guys? The same exact word for paramours. Once again, notice for next to paramour is H, which means Hebrew, 6370. We click on it again, boom. H, 6370. All right, and I'm going somewhere with this, but I just want to show you that that's the word in Ezekiel 23 and 20, and it's the same exact word for concubines. All right, so we're going back to 2 Chronicles 11 and verse 21. Remember, for the word concubines, here it is again. Notice for concubine, again, that's the same word, H, 6370, Hebrew 6370. Same word, guys. Paramour, concubine. All right. So, before we go any further, we're establishing that a concubine is a paramour. A concubine is a paramour. But we're going to explain, we're going to go further, what is a paramour. All right. So we're going to show from a ancient perspective, and then we're going to show the difference between the modern perspective. So you're going to get the biblical perspective, then you're going to get the ancient perspective. I'm sorry, the modern perspective on how the world views a paramour today. All right? Yeah, no doubt. I'm definitely going to do that. Definitely going to do that. Shalom, shalom, shalom. So now that we have that understanding, we're going to find out what it is, because the topic is, what is a paramour, or what is a concubine? All right. Someone said read the whole verse. In verse 21 it says, and Rehoboam loved Ma'akah, which was his wife. It says, the daughter of above, not equal, above his wives and his concubines, for he took 18 wives, and 60 which means 60 concubines. He had 60 concubines, for he begot or gave birth to 28 sons. So we had 28 sons, and 60 which means 60 daughters. All right. So now, with that being said, once again, that word is for the Hebrew Pelagesh. Pelagesh. All right? In the singular form. If it's plural, it would be Palag Shahim. Palag Shahim. Yeah, most I will. And I'm definitely going to upload this on YouTube as well, Shema. You already know, bro. You already know. Cuzzo, shalom. Shalom, be hood. What up, Cuzzo? So now, with that being said, now that we got that, let's go ahead and look at what I had put here, ladies and gents. All right, hold on one second. Here we go, boom. So now, what I put here, it says to get an overall view of what it is, it's best to take the historical route because it's not so much mentioned in our holy manuscript. However, those who read Hebrew or those who basically who those who have a concordance can figure out what it is. All right, because in the Bible, we see the word concubine, but it doesn't say much about it. But if you know Hebrew, it pays off a lot to know and understand and get a general idea on what a concubine was, especially with dealing with it within the context of what is being said about a concubine. All right, so here what I actually put, it was here, Pelagesh. You already late, I already read it earlier. So go back and watch the video. I got to move on. So now we have the word Pelagesh, as I showed earlier. And here of a certain deviation, concubine, also masculine, paramour. Concubine, paramour. So I put, what is a paramour? It's a lover. We finna get to that. Or a significant other. It simply means by love. By love. That's what it actually means. It says it's a person who you are being romantically with, a person who you are giving children to as well. Now, I also put what some would call a secondary wife, who was under the proper and lawful wife, and a sort of a head servant in the family and mainly kept for having children. All right. Now, before we do, let's go ahead and deal with that same word. In Ezekiel. Matter of fact, yeah, where we at Bible Hub. Shalom, shalom. So now, get this, guys. For Ezekiel 23 and 20, let's look at other versions for that word paramour or concubine. Remember Ezekiel 23:20? The New International Version says, there she lusted after her lovers. That's the same word that it used for concubines. All right? Look at the New Living Translation when it says, for she lusted. Remember the two sisters when you read this chapter. All right? It says she lusted after who? Lovers. Look at this one. And lusted after her lovers. Look at the Berean Bible, and lusted after their lovers. Look at what is actually being said there. The New King James Version says, for she lusted for her paramours. King James Version says, for she doted or lusted upon their paramours. The Christian Standard Bible says, and lusted after their lovers. Look at this. The Contemporary English Version, she eagerly wanted or desired or lusted to go to bed with the Egyptians. Men, because you already know this is a parable. But anyway, look at this. The Holman, same thing. Look at that. Lovers. Lovers. So when dealing with a concubine, It is generally simply a lover. And that's what I put here. Let me go ahead here. Boom. So when I said here, where we at? Here we go. I said, what is a paramour? It is a lover or a significant other. It simply means by love. It is a person who you are being romantically with, a person who you are giving children to as well. What some would call a secondary wife, who was under the proper and lawful wife and a sort of a head servant in the family, and mainly kept for having children. I said this was not something that was frowned upon. Today, matter of fact, before I even go on there, today you would have people that ask, well, why would somebody want to be a concubine? Well, guess what, guys? There are people who don't mind being a concubine today. They don't mind being a concubine. I personally had sisters that asked me that they would want to be my concubine. I turned it down, but there are people today who don't mind being a concubine at all. 1 second. Who don't mind that at all. So with that being said, let me turn it back around. Let me turn it on. Okay. So I said, just like in today's, oh my bad, here we go. This was not something that was frowned upon. Today in this modern world, a paramour. Now, remember I said in this modern world, like it's 2020 currently. This would be the modern world. So today in this modern world, meaning like in 2020, a paramour is slightly different. It's a little different because society don't accept paramours anymore. Because we know today, polygyny is frowned upon. So today, to have another woman, that's frowned upon. It's frowned upon. So that's why I said it's slightly different today than, of course, in the ancient world. All right. So here we go. It says, today in this modern world, a paramour is slightly different because society don't accept paramours anymore. So now today in this world, she is classified as a secret lover or the illicit lover, which means forbidden lover. Let's go ahead and take a look at that really quick. All right. Let me put my camera down really quick so I can type it in. All right, 1 second. And for those who are coming in, remember the topic is about concubines or concubine. So now we have paramour. This would be the modern meaning for it today. All I typed in was define paramour. So here we have paramour. It says a lover. A lover. Especially, now look at this. The illicit partner of a married person. So get this. That word illicit means what? That means forbidden. So today in the modern world, a paramour is obviously frowned upon. But in the Bible, it was not. So this paramour or a concubine would be his lover. And that woman would be the partner of a married person. Now, of course, in the Bible, we know that married person was specifically the man, the husband. All right. So look at this. Somebody put as a paramour a bad word. Let me see what this say. What does it say? Okay. Look, see, paramour, a lover of either what? Sex. In a bad sense, it says one who takes the place of an husband or wife, but we know biblically speaking, it will be wife, without legal right. The only sense of the word now, that's key word, now in use. So now is looked at it like that. But of course, biblically speaking, a paramour was a lover, beloved, significant other. We're going to talk about this word mistress because that word mistress today has a different meaning than what it did in the Bible. All right. But anyway, today a mistress today is looked at as what? The secret woman. All right. But look at this. Girlfriend. Kept woman. Now remember I told you earlier that paramour meant by love? Look at that. Boom. By love. See that? Middle English from the Old French, Paramour, by love. Also remember, when people say polyamory, that's the same root word, which means many loves. All right? For those who know what polyamory is, the word amour is the same word, which means love. That word amour. All right? Matter of fact, let me show you real quick. Hold on 1 second. Let me type it in. Bear with me, guys. Polyamory. All right? So look, let me turn it around. Polyamory. So now today's man has the practice of engaging in multiple sexual relationships with the consent of all the people involved. Now, you know, ours, of course, who believe in the Bible is slightly different, because polyamory can be man and woman. When we don't do all of that, we just do polygyny, which is the practice of a man having more than one wife, or of course concubine or a woman. But look at this. Poly, which means many. Then Latin, amor, which means love. See that? Look at this. From poly, meaning many or plural or more than, Latin amor, which means love. Same concept, guys. It's the same concept. So when dealing with a paramour, it has the word amor, which means love. All right? So going back, when we're dealing with, let me turn the camera back around. When we're dealing with the word pilagesh, this is for the word for paramour in Ezekiel 23:20, the King James Version. When you see the word paramours, when you look that word up in the Hebrew, in singular form is pilagesh, pilagesh. And remember, once again, pilagesh, paramour. Look at the root word, guys, amor, which means what? Love. Love. All right? So this means by love. Look at this. For that word for paramour, it says the King James Version translates the Strong's H63:7, as I showed you earlier, in the following manner. Concubine. 35 times the word pilagesh is used for concubine. Concubine with H, which is Hebrew HO2. And 1 time is used as paramours. It's the same Hebrew word. So once again, when you are saying concubine, you're saying paramour, you're saying lover. That's what it is. It's a person who is romantically involved with a woman. That is the general meaning of it. Now get this. Let's go back to where we was at. 1 second. All right. So, as I said earlier, I said about the word for paramour, concubine, I said this was not something that was frowned upon today. And this is not something that was frowned upon. Today, in the modern world, a paramour is slightly different because society don't accept paramours anymore. So now, today, in this world, she is classified as a secret lover, or the illicit lover. And illicit just simply means forbidden lover. Because today, of course, the world don't accept poly or polygyny. So it says, just like in this world, a mistress, remember I said we're going to talk about that? A mistress also have a different meaning today. And so does a paramour. Remember, Sarah was the wife of Abraham and was called a mistress. In Genesis 16:4 and Genesis 16:8. So let's go ahead and grab that real quick. So, Sefer Bereshit, or Genesis 16. Genesis 16 and verse 4. I'm in the eSword app for those, once again, who don't know. So, Genesis 64, look at what it says about Abraham and his women. It says, and he went in unto Hagar, talking about Abraham, and she conceived. She got pregnant. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was a spies in her eyes. Let's look at the word mistress. Giberet in Hebrew Mistress. It means lady, queen, mistress of servants. Look at that. But let's go back. The root word is the word gabar, or gaver. And it can mean great strength, warrior, of course, if it's used in the sense of a man, or authority, master. Because Sarah was over Hagar. Sarah was over her. So today, she would be the mistress. Today would be the head woman in charge. What they call it, the HBIC. That's what corner world call it today. But get this though. She was called a mistress. But mistress in the Bible didn't mean a secret woman, a secret lover at all. Didn't mean that. So from a biblical aspect, the word concubine has a different meaning, a slightly different meaning of concubine today. A concubine today is a forbidden lover, the secret lover, the woman that nobody knows about. Don't tell such and such. And I ain't for all that either. You know what I'm saying? Hide it. For what? Our forefathers didn't hide it when they had other women that they were romantically involved with. So dealing with that, if men are frowning up on that, saying, oh, well, it's just for this and blah, blah, blah. You have something to say, well, the brothers want polygyny because they lusting for it. Well, what's a concubine then? Because a concubine was a lover. That's a man who was romantically involved with a woman, even had children with her. Today, the women would call that the side piece, the side women. That's what they would call it. But it's all throughout the Bible that our forefathers had concubines. For example, remember, let's go back when David. Remember here, 2 Samuel 5:13, as I read earlier. And it said, and David took him more concubines, more, and wives. So he had more lovers and he had wives. Look at that. He had more lovers and he had more wives. And when you look up concubines, once again, there it is again, Polygyny, Paramour. That's his lover. So he had lovers and he had wives. He had both. So again, today, that's something that's frowned upon. But your forefathers didn't frown upon it, and obviously the foremothers didn't either. And today you have some sisters say she don't mind being a concubine. Like, look, I probably can't be a wife, but I still like you. Now I will want to be your concubine. Women actually have no issue with it, and men have no issue with it. So dealing with that, there are, like today, the carnal mindset is frowned upon today for a man to have another woman, what they would say outside his wives. But yet we see that men had wives, or a wife and a concubine. We see that. We can't ignore that. That's in our Bible. So now with that being said, let me turn the camera back around. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Boom. Turn the camera back around. So I said, now let's look up in the Zondervan Dictionary. Look up concubine in a Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary on page 116. So for those who have a Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, you go to page 116 and you'll see the word for concubine. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull it since I got it right here, obviously. Page 116. For the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Here we go. Boom. All right. So for those who have a... Hold on, wait. My bad. So for those who have the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, I'm giving you a chance to go ahead and grab it. All right. But once again, it's the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. His mug's all toe up. So here we go for concubine. Let me see if I can turn the flash on. Concubine. It says a concubine, a woman lawfully united in marriage to a man in a relation, but watch this, inferior, not superior, not equal to, but inferior to that of the what? Regular wife. Let's read that one more time. It says a woman lawfully united in marriage, because marriage is a union, dwell together. That's what it means. It comes from the Hebrew word onah, the word marriage, onah. So it says, a woman lawfully, so it's not unlawful to have a concubine, brothers. A woman lawfully united in marriage to a man. So that's why I said ours is slightly different from the meaning today, because in today it's just a person. But this says specifically to a man in a relation inferior to that of the regular wife. But look at this. It's giving scriptures here. Genesis 16, Genesis 22, and you see that? 2 Samuel. The law of Moses allowed it. Exodus 21, 7 through 11. Even though I don't like their idea of that one, but that's something we'll talk about later. Deuteronomy 21, it says, a number of prominent Old Testament figures had concubines. Abraham, Jacob, Gideon, David, Solomon, and Rehoboam. So we see that. So dealing with that, the same great men in the Bible had what today women would call side women. That's what they would say. Oh, no, he just blah, blah, blah. You already got, what you need another one for? You hear those questions. But yet Rehoboam had 78 women. He had 18 wives and 60 concubines. Who had the most concubines in the Bible? Let's go ahead and grab that really quick. 1 Kings 11. 1 Kings 11, turn the camera around. 1 Kings 11 and 11, we'll start in 1. Oh, I went to 2, my bad. So here we go. It says, but King Solomon loved many strange women. Now that word strange is the word nochre. So that's not only a foreign woman, but it's a foreign woman who is an adulterous woman. Not physically, but spiritually. She's worshiping another god. But that's another topic. We'll deal with that later. But it says, women together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Amorites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which Yah, the Lord, said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go in unto them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart, meaning your mind, after their gods. Solomon cleaved to these in love. And here we go, verse 3. It says, for he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives, not everybody, not the princes and concubines, but his wives, turn away his heart. But it never said the concubines did anything. It just said his wives. So what about the concubines here? Did they do anything bad? No. Remember, this verse is specifically saying that those wives, those strange wives, they turned away his heart. But let's look at what concubine means, because he had 300 of them. Pilagesh. There that word paramour again. Paramour, lover. There it is again. Look at this. You can see how many times the word concubine is used in concubines and paramour. These scriptures, the word concubine is even used, or concubines. And every time you see it in the Hebrew Bible, it's the word pilagesh. Or if it's plural, palag shehim. Palag shehim. Solomon had 300 concubines. 300 of them. See that? He had 300 concubines. So with that being said, let's go back. One more time, guys. So here, going back. So, as I already put for the Zonovan, now we move on to the next one. We almost done. So, as I started off earlier, I was saying let's go a tad bit deeper, because the Hebrew word pilagesh, that's what we just saw in the last scripture, 1 Kings 11 and 3 for concubines. It's the same Hebrew word, as I was saying. So let's go a tad bit deeper, because the Hebrew word pilagesh is used also in Ezekiel 23 and 20. According to the Blue Letter Bible, as I showed you earlier, the Old Testament Hebrew for paramours, pilagesh, concubine, paramours, for that Hebrew word in Ezekiel 23 and 20. Let me show you one more time really quick for people who's getting amnesia. So let's go back for Ezekiel 23 and 20. All right. coming down upon their paramours. H6370. Polygyny. As I just shown you what I had wrote down. See that? Paramour, concubine. And once more time, the King James Version translate, talking about this word Polygyny, as Hebrews 6:3-7 in the following manner, meaning like this. Concubine 35 times, Polygyny is used. Concubine again, if H02, Polygyny is used. And one time with paramours. See that? With paramours. Look at that. Polygyny. So that's what it's talking about right here. Look at this. And Timnah was concubine. To who? Eliphaz, Esau's son. There's the word Polygyny. Once again. Which mean what? His lover. Let's go back. You also see it here in Judges, the 19th chapter. The word concubine. See that? See that? Who took him a concubine. See that? H02. Isha. Guess what that means, guys? Wife. Woman. Wife. Female. Wife. Woman married to a man. And then, of course, it gives the general idea, female of animals, but we know that ain't the case. So guess what, guys? Guess what? In Judges 19:1, when it says here, and it came to pass in those days, there was no king in Israel, there was a certain Levite sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah. That was the city. So letting you know this was his lover, that was his wife. So that both words is used there. Let's go ahead and click on that really quick. All right. So here is the word Isha Polygyny. See? You see that? So that lets me know that this Polygyny was his wife. His wife / lover. Mibait, meaning from the house, Lachem, of bread, or which is Bethlehem. Yehudah, which is my name, Judah. All right? So there we go, right there. Isha Polygyny, Mibait, Lachem, Yehudah. So this word here, Isha, which is a wife, Polygyny, lover. So this was his wife lover. She was a different type. She was a concubine that was a wife. Look at that. Ish, which is the root word there. Livei. Hold up. Let me go back in. Melech Yisrael. Ephraim. Lecha Isha. Here we go. Isha, which would be the wife. Polygyny, which would be the lover. See that? So we just looked those words up. Polygyny. Paramour, once again. Now, once again, remember in Ezekiel 23:20, let's go back. Once again, Ezekiel 23:20. Here, we have the word Pelag Shehim, which is plural. And the root word is Polygyny. Once again, for she doted, meaning lusted, upon their paramours, which is what? Once again, a paramour. The same verse, Ezekiel 23:20. When you look at the other versions, she was called a lover. A lover. New Living Translation, they render it lover. English Standard Version, her lovers. Berean, and lusted after their what? Lovers. All right. So even though this chapter here was used in the sense of a parable, but I'm focusing on because that's where the word paramour is mentioned and showing it's the same Hebrew word. All right. So dealing with that, let's go back. Here we go. As I put earlier, I said according to Eastward it says Polygyny. We already saw that. Concubine, paramour. As we saw earlier, the root word is the word amor, which means loves. All right? It means loves. All right. So I say, if you go to Bible Hub, which I just showed you a few seconds ago, and type in Ezekiel 23:20 and click on the Strongs and scroll down, you don't see the word paramour. You see the words, they're lovers. That's what you see. I say, here, take a look at what you'll see. And I showed here. This is what it showed on that. When you look that up in Bible Hub. Same thing. So we clearly see that a concubine and a lover is the exact same Hebrew word. I'm gonna repeat that. So we can clearly see that a concubine and a lover is the exact same Hebrew word. If it's singular, meaning one concubine, it's the word pilagesh. If it's plural, it's the word here, pelag shehim. So when a man had a concubine, she was his lover. That was his woman. So this will be today a man who had a lover. So remember, let's go back to Judges really quick, guys. Really quick, Judges, about Gideon. Once again, Genesis 8 and 30 and 31. So it says, here it says, and I'll say here, and Gideon had 70, meaning 60 and 10, so the 70 sons of his body begotten. For he had what? Many wives. He had many of them. So many that he had 70 damn children. But it said, and his concubine, let's click that word. Concubine, once again, pilagesh. Paramour, meaning his lover. His lover. So in other words, and his lover that was in Shechem, a whole nother city, she also bare him what? A son. You mean to tell me he already had many wives and got a whole nother woman pregnant? Whose name he called Abimelech. Abimelech. Now let's look that word up, guys. Abimelech. Look at that. Melech is father, which would be here. I'm covering it up. That's the word melech. That means a king. So it says Melech is father, or my father is king. You're talking about the actual word, Abimelech. So you have the word Avi. Well, first you have the word Av, which means father, or some would say Abba. But then you have the word Avi, which means my father. So that says right here, that says my father. And this is the word Melech, meaning is king. So that's his name, Abimelech. All right. So get this, though. Let's keep reading, though. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age. Look at that. He was never punished for having a concubine, and was buried in a sepulchre, meaning tomb, of Joash, his father, in Ophrah of the Abizarites. All right. So, we had the question about the concubine. Let's go back to page 116 really quick. I'm sure you got that, the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Here, it says, concubine, a woman lawfully united in marriage to a man in a relation inferior to that of the regular wife. So this would be today what some people would call a side chick, or his other woman. So when you hear people, oh, well, that brother is lusting for other women. Well, men in the Bible had many wives, and they also had lovers. Many lovers. So, brothers, don't feel bad if you want to take a concubine, or concubines is in plural. The only people who have a problem with it is man today, society today. Because today, a paramour or a concubine today is classified as a secret lover, the illicit lover, the forbidden lover, the other woman. Shh. But biblically speaking, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Shalom, shalom, brother. Michael, shalom, Israel. So dealing with that, the concubine was a man's woman, his lover, which is lawful, Many of our forefathers had them. This is the long story short on what a concubine is. All right. So do the concubines have the same similar? That's up to the man. That's not up to me. That's not up to nobody but the man, because as you know, the man is the head of his household. That would be like, for example, you will be asking me about a monogamous aspect. Well, what's the woman's job? Well, that's up to that man. So the wife, of course, who a concubine is the same thing, because she's this woman. So, but her status is a lower ranking of the regular wife. So that woman submits to her husband. So whatever he requires in his household, that's on him. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just talking about the general meaning and the general idea of what a concubine is, and it is a lover, paramour. So I already shown earlier the root word for amour means love when it's derived from Latin and French. I also showed that a paramour was a lover. I showed you many versions where different translations rendered that word as lover, which is actually closer in the Hebrew. For those who read Hebrew know this. So a concubine is a lover. All right. So dealing with that, today people can't grasp the concept because they're thinking with a modern mindset. And this comes from how we as people read the Bible today, but then we associate with how we grew up, what we've seen. So then, of course, people be lost in the sauce. So when you're saying a concubine, you're saying a paramour, you're saying a lover. That's it. If I say, hey man, there go my wife right there, there go my wife, but there go my lover. Today you would understand that. Oh, that's a woman who he's romantically involved with. That's his woman. He got her pregnant. That's his concubine. Men had concubines. So dealing with that kills the whole idea. Well, these brothers just won't win. If they just want that, brothers get a concubine. Plain and simple. That's what it is. There's no law that states that a man can't have a concubine. Even to people who are against poly, when they twist certain scriptures, which we're going to be doing lessons on, ask them, well, does the Bible frown upon a man having a concubine? Is there a scripture in the Bible says he can't have many concubines? Think about that. Brother says one wife. Okay, well, what about concubines? Let me ask you about that really quick. What about a concubine then? Can he have a lover? There's no scripture that condemns that. Well, there's no scripture that condemns poly anyway at all. But it comes down to the man's preference, of course. So somebody says, I'm confused. What are you confused on? Maybe you probably came in late. I'm sure you did. You know what I'm saying? If you were confused, because we actually just went over everything of what a concubine actually is. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's basically what I want to get out. When you're seeing the word concubine, let me show you once again. When it talks about Gideon, it says, and his concubine that was in Shechem, she also bare him a son whose name was Abimelech. Once again, concubine is a paramour. For those who don't know, I'm using the eSword app. You can also use My Sword app. You can download that too. So when you look up the word concubine in the Hebrew Bible, which predates the English Bible, it has the Hebrew word pilegesh, and that means a paramour. And the root word in paramour is the word amor, which means love. You see that? That's what it means. Why do a lot of people teach against having wives and concubines? Because they clearly are crack smokers. That's the short answer. They hate the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a concubine is. It's the word paramour, which means by love. So if anybody missed it, if anybody missed the lesson, definitely go back to the beginning and definitely get you some understanding, and hopefully you can understand that. So doesn't the woman have to be married to be a lover, or is fornication? If not, she's okay. So let's deal with that. Let's look at what fornication is. All right. Also, for those of you who don't know, let's go and look up Matthew 5 really quick. Matthew 5. All right. And even when you look at that, will we be saying that Abraham was a friend of God? Was he a fornicator? Of course not. Let's get an example of what a fornicator is. It says, but I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication. Let's click on that. It's the word pornea or porneia. Harlotry, that's prostitution. Including adultery, that's sleeping with another man's wife. Incest, which of course you get the understanding of that, Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20. Figuratively, idolatry. That's fornication. That's fornication. Matter of fact, for those who don't know, in this app, did y'all know that y'all can actually look up the, like for example, somebody asked about the word fornication, right? Check this out. Let's type that word in. So in Hebrew, it's the word zanah. Zanah. Look at this. Fornication. Matter of fact, let me read the verse first. It says, moreover, he made high places. This is idolatry, places of worship, in the mountains of Judah, and caused inhabitants, meaning people of the land of Jerusalem, to commit fornication, and he compelled Judah. Now, this is talking about idolatry, just dealing with high places. This is the word zanah. 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 And that means what? To commit adultery, usually with a female, or less often simply fornication. Look at that. Look at that. To commit idolatry. That's what it is. Another example, Isaiah 23 and 17. Look at this. It says, and it came to pass after the end of 70 years. Let me scoot it back, my bad. And one more thing, guys. I typed in the word fornication on this app here, eSword. And to let you know, that word fornication is mentioned is 32 times, 32 verses, and it's mentioned 36 times. The very first time you see the word fornication is boom. You see that? So now, yeah, we've heard that, but biblically speaking. So now get this. Isaiah 23 and 17, it shall come to pass at the end of 70 years that the Lord will visit Tyre. It says, and shall turn to her hire, and shall commit what? Fornication with what? All the kingdoms of the world. So are they sticking their penises in the ground? No. See that? They commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world. You see that? The face of the earth. Here's the word again, sanah. Once again, the same Hebrew word. Ezekiel 16, this goes into spiritual fornication when you look at the chapter. See that? So it says, thou hast committed fornication with who? The Egyptians, your neighbors. So when you look at this whole entire chapter, it goes into spiritual fornication. But look at this. It's the word sanah. Sanah. But when you look at it in what we call the New Testament, notice we just saw that verse there. It's G4202. Remember I showed y'all that earlier for the word fornication? Pornea or porneia. See that? Harlotry, adultery, incest, particularly idolatry. Even here, and I say unto you that whosoever shall divorce or put away his wife, except it be for what? Fornication. Look at that. Boom. Here's the same word. Porneia, harlotry, idolatry. That's what fornication means. Illicit, which means forbidden sexual intercourse. But the Bible show you what the forbidden sexual intercourse is in Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20 are the main chapters where it's talked about. You learn a little bit in Deuteronomy 22 and Leviticus 19 as well. Adultery, fornication, homosexuality, lesbianism, intercourse with animals, sexual intercourse with close relatives, Leviticus 18, like I was telling you. But look at this, guys. We don't see sex before marriage because biblically speaking, that's not there. Men took concubines. They took concubines. Now get this. John 8:41, look at that. It's mentioned there. There's the same G4202, the same word there. Porneia. Look at that. So all throughout the Bible, you see that. All throughout the Bible. And if anybody saw my last video I did on YouTube, I did a breakdown of 1 Corinthians 7 and 2, how this verse is taken out of context. When it says, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, let everyone have his own husband. Watch my video that I did on that. I blew the lid open on that. Because this is one of the first scriptures that they go to. And they like to use 1 Corinthians 6 and 18. Those are like some of the main two scriptures that people use when trying to justify the doctrine of fornication. So watch my video on YouTube on my Shootah the Shootah page. I did a breakdown of it. Matter of fact, let me show you real quick. On my Shootah the Shootah page, 1 second, guys. YouTube, on my Shootah the Shootah page, here on YouTube, I did a breakdown of 1 Corinthians 7:2. His own wife. So I did a video on that. Check that video out. That's basically going into the teachings of fornication. What is fornication? So that's why I'm not spending too much time on that, because I've already done it. I did an hour and 11-minute video. I'm going to put this on YouTube too. You know what I'm saying? So I've already done that. Because get this. Once you learn the true meaning of what fornication really means, it's going to make you go back to the drawing board like, well, dang, hold on, well, wait a minute. In Genesis, the 38th chapter, Judah, when he slept with Tamar, nobody was punished. I'm going to repeat that. Judah laid with Tamar, nobody was punished. There was no penalty. But Judah's sons was getting put down. The Lord was putting them to death. That might be a part too. But going back, when you learn what fornication is, it's going to go back and make you question a lot of the scriptures that you've been looking at. For example, here, I'm going to show you some other scriptures that one would use. Deuteronomy 23 and verse 17. Oh, I went to 16, my bad, 17. It says, there should be no whore. Look at this, guys. What's the word for whore there? Look at this. Kadeshah, a female devotee, prostitute, harlot, whore. So here, dealing with this word here, it's saying a prostitute of the daughters of Israel, no, a sodomite. I used to think that sodomite in the Bible was talking about a homosexual because of the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And when you look up sodomite today, the modern meaning today is anal sex and things like that. But biblically speaking, that word sodomite is used different. Sodomite, let's look that up, guys. What's a sodomite? Kedash. It's almost like similar to the word kadosh, meaning holy, but it's the opposite. It's the word kadash. Look at this. A sacred person. This is going to right here. There it is right there. Male temple prostitute. That's why it says a sacred person going to rituals. That is technically a male devotee by what? Prostitution. He's selling his penis. Look at that. Idolatry, sodomite, unclean. So that word sodomite is used in these verses. Screenshot it, write it down, look at it. So dealing with that, this is talking about temple prostitution for a higher price. So in that, when you learn this, it show you or a gift. Matter of fact, I forgot the next verse. Hold on. Let's go back. I'm tripping. There should be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel. Now look at this. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore. This is going to what, guys? Prostitution, or the price of a dog. Into what? The house of the Lord. That's why it showed earlier temple prostitution. Don't bring that in the house of the Lord, is what he's saying. The Lord thy God, for any vow, for even both of these are abomination unto the master your Elohim. So look at this, the word hire. Look at this. It's the word itnan. The word here, like a Nathan, it means a gift. Look at that, a gift. As a price of harlotry, idolatry, higher reward. Now guess what? There's something similar. You know the other famous verse, Hebrews 13 and 4? Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge as he will. But what's a whoremonger? Look at that. Anytime you see that, look at the word there. Pornos. The here is a sigma. The sigma on an end in Greek denotes masculine. So it's really porno. Like when people say, I'm watching a porno. That is the same word for whoremonger or fornicators. The word porno or pornos is a Greek word. And it means fornicators, or fornicator, or fornication, or whoremongers. And these, when people, oh, he's a whoremonger. Look all these verses up. Look up its meanings. It's going to make you go back to the drawing board, guys. It's going to make you go back to the drawing board on what it really is, based off what we've been told and taught. But look at this. To scroll down pornos, it means to what? To sell. To sell. That's what it means, to sell. Look at this. Male prostitute. By analogy, a debauchee. Fornicator, whoremonger. Look at this. A man who prostitutes his body to another, lust for hire. Pay for sex. Male prostitute, a man who indulges in unlawful sexual intercourse, a fornicator. And when you read Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20, and you look at my last chapter, you learn what that is. That's what it is, guys. So dealing with that, Hebrews 13 and 4 is going into what it is. What it is. To sell. To dispose of, or as a merchandise. All right? That's what it means. All right? So here, when it says marriage is honorable and all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers, guys, look these words up and find out the biblical meaning of it. And adulterous, look up adulterous. Look at this. A male paramour, but we know what kind of paramour? The one who sleeps with another man's wife. How do we know? Because it's called an adulterer. Let's get that. Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 10. Look at this. And the man that commits adultery, let's look at that word adultery. Oh, my bad. Adultery. Na'af, to commit adultery. See that? A woman that breaketh wedlock. So, for example, where we at? And the man, my bad. And the man that commits adultery with who? Another man's wife. Another man's wife. She belonged to somebody else. Even he that committed na'af, which is adultery, with who? His neighbor's wife. That woman belongs to somebody else. The adulterer, which would be that man, and the adulteress shall surely be put to death. That's what it is. Now remember it said the woman that breaketh wedlock? That word is mentioned twice in the Bible. If you only had the 66 books, it's mentioned once. But if you have the Apocrypha, it's mentioned twice. But let's type in wedlock, because you get people, oh, y'all having a baby out of wedlock. Well, what does wedlock mean? Because it's mentioned one time. Look at that. I typed in the word, and look at that. Ezekiel 16. Remember I told you earlier this was talking spiritual. Look at what he told the Israelites. And I would judge thee as, look at the comparison, how he's going to judge us. I would judge thee as women that break wedlock. Why did he say that? Because us as the Israelites were the wife to the Lord, who was our husband, and he's going to judge us just like a woman that break wedlock. What is the Hebrew word for wedlock? The same word for adultery. Na'af, to commit adultery. Look at this. Na'af. Boom. See that? To commit adultery, figuratively to apostatize. Adultery, to commit adultery, woman that breaketh wedlock. So you break wedlock. Having a baby out of wedlock is a woman who is married and another man comes and lay with her and gets her pregnant. That would be having a baby out of wedlock. That's what that actually means. That's what it means. Understand that. So dealing with that, this kills the meanings of your modern understandings of what fornication, whoremonger, or concubine. Look these words up. Get the understandings of it. All right? And there's one more thing I want to deal with too. In what we call Apocrypha, guys, is something I really want to share with you. When you look in the book of Sirach, it brings out the overall point of what I've been trying to relate to you. Because understand that when our Bible, of course, that was translated from one language to the next, guess what? It don't have the same force in it for some words. For example, when you turn around and look at Sirach chapter 1 verse 1, Sirach is also known as Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. All right, look at what it starts off with saying. It says the prologue of the wisdom of Jesus, the son of Sirach. Look at what it says here. It says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us. This is what he's saying. By the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps. It says, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof, it says, and whereof not only the readers must also needs to become what? Skillful themselves. You have to be a skillful reader, guys, when reading this Bible. We're going to find out why. It says, but also they that desire to learn, to be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. My grandfather Jesus, which is Joshua, in other words, the same name as Joshua, or Yeshua in Hebrew, it says, when he had much given himself to what? The reading of the Torah, meaning the law, and the prophets like Ezekiel, Daniel, Hosea, Jeremiah, Micah, Amos. It says, and other books of our fathers, meaning our ancestors. And it says, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those who are desirous to learn and are addicted to those things might profit or gain much more in the living according to the law. Now here we go, guys. Pay very close attention to what he's about to say. Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention. You better pay attention, guys. And to pardon us, or forgive us. Pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words. Look at that. He said, pardon us, forgive us, my bad, wherein we may seem to come short of some words, which we have labored, we worked hard to translate. Pardon us, y'all. He says, for the same things uttered or spoken in Hebrew, I'm going to say it again. For the same things uttered or spoken in Hebrew and translated into another language, meaning tongue, have not the same force in them. I'm going to read that again. For the same things uttered or spoken in Hebrew and translated into another language, meaning tongue, the Hebrew word lashon, or ancient, they would say lashawan, but that's another topic. It says, have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the Torah itself, meaning the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. Understand that there are words that is used today when it's translated into another language, it don't have the same force in it, such as the word whoremonger, the word fornicator, the word fornication, the word sodomite, the word paramour, which is a concubine. When going into the Hebrew language, it has a much more force in it. Why? Because you're going back into the Hebrew text. You're going back into the Hebrew culture. The book was written by Hebrews in Hebrew, who spoke Hebrew and had a Hebrew custom, served the God of the Hebrews, and had Hebrew customs, culture, language, and everything in an ancient world. So obviously, when reading the Bible in Hebrew, the language that it was spoken in, you're going to understand it, and it's going to have a much more force in it. So you so-called simple-ass Negroes who, well, that's a fornicator, this and blah, blah, blah. Understand that when you go back into the original text, you would see something that's a little slightly different from what you'll see today. You're slightly different. Why? because it has a much more force to it. It has much more of a power to it when you do that. So dealing with that, and look, there's no excuse, guys, because I mean, I've been teaching myself Hebrew. We can do it. If we want to do that, we could do it. You know what I'm saying? So for example, here for the naysayers, that nigga know Hebrew, the hell up. Here is, this here is the word Tanakh. Okay, the word for Tanakh. So, what do I want to go? Yeah, we're going to go to Shemot. Sefer Shemot is the book of Genesis. I'm sorry, the book of Exodus. This is chapter 3. And I guess I'll start in 12. So, Hebrews read from right to left. So, for those who read Hebrew, of course, you can follow along. Once again, I'm in Sefer Shemot, which is the book of Exodus, chapter 3. All right? So, I'm about to go ahead and start there. Here we go. Vayemer ki iye imach vazelecha haot ki anoki shalachtika behoziadka et ha'am mimisraim tavdun et ha'elohim al hahar hazeh vayemer Moshe el ha'elohim hine anoki va el bnei Yisrael va'amarti lahem Elohei avotechem shalachani aleichem va'amruli ma shemo ma omar Aleihim. Verse 14. Vayemer Elohim el Moshe iyeh asher iyeh, which is what the King James put, I am that I am, but this actually says, I will be as I will be, or I shall be as I shall be. So GOCC, it ain't no damn God. Ahaya is I shall be as I shall be. All right. So in other words, and God said to Moses, I shall be as I shall be. All right, that's what that says there. So Vayemer Elohim el Moshe iyeh asher iyeh, or what they'll say ahaya asher ahaya. But anyway, Vayemer ki tomar, ko tomar levnei Yisrael iyeh shalachani aleichem. So dealing with that, that says I shall be as I shall be, or I will be as I will be, because even when you look at here, the Hebrew letter Aleph here, the Hebrew letter Aleph, the Hebrew letter Hey, that small little, look like a little small 7, that's a Yod, and that's another Hey. That says I, and the root word Hayah, all right? So this is I will be, all right? So, but even going back to verse 12, when I was, that same word is right there. Yeah, same word. That ain't God's name. That says will be, or shall be. So it says, Vayemer ki iyeh imach vazelecha. So here it says, and said, for certainly I will be imach, with you. All right, that's what that says. That's a statement. But I do got a video on that. That's on my Judah Moshe page. So somebody said drop the link. All you gotta do is go on YouTube, type in Judah the Shootah, or somebody can just inbox me and I'll send it. But I had talked about that video there. I got certain videos here. Here, so some of the lessons that I got, you know, I'm be rebuilding this channel. But also, let me put it down. Hold on 1 second. When you go to my other YouTube channel, all right, here, the Judah Israel channel, the Judah Israel. So this is actually youtube.com/JudahIsrael314, which is the link, JudahIsrael314. I talk about that Ahaya doctrine there. That was videos over 2 years ago. Okay, so I did that video. And I got like documentaries, historical documentaries and stuff like that. All right. So that's basically what I'm going into. All right, so that's my other channel. That's the Judah Israel 314. Judah Israel 314. And then, of course, you got the Judah the Shootah page. So you can type in youtube.com/Judah the Shootah. That's the actual link to that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what it is. So if anybody needs the link, just inbox me And I'll send it to you if you got questions concerning. If you have questions concerning what we went over and what I talked about, you got questions, serious inquiries only. Don't waste my damn time, because I'll let you have it, like, for real. Come correct. But definitely download the app My Sword, MY, and then the word sword. Download eSword as well. You can download that as well. Look up all these words. Understand the Hebraic concept that the author meant when they wrote it. All right, not the modern words and trying to compare it to a Bible that is ancient. All right, hell, even those who follow the New Testament as well, such as myself, that was over 2,000 years ago. Hell, for example, let me show you another example. Let's go to James chapter 2 real quick, guys. I'm going to show you how words can be very misconstrued if you don't have some sort of Hebraic concept of the Bible. James chapter 2 and verse 3. All right, James 2 and 3. Here, look at this. I'm starting 1. It says, my brethren. It says, my brethren, have not the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with respect of person. I mean, you want to show favoritism? This is against Leviticus 19. So it says, for if there come unto your assembly a man with a gold ring, right? He got money, and goodly apparel, and there come in also what? A poor man in vile raiment. So he looks filthy, nasty. So one who got good apparel and this poor man who's dressed in raggedy. Look at this. It says, and you have respect unto him. I mean, you show favoritism to him that weareth the what kind of clothing? The gay clothing. Damn, was he a homosexual? What that word mean? Said he had gay clothing. And say unto them, sit thou here in a good place. And say to the poor man, in other words, stand you there like, oh, don't even sit down. Yeah, nah. Don't sit down. Or sit here under my footstool. But notice it said here that this man who had with the gold ring and the goodly apparel, he had on gay clothing. What that word mean? Since those, oh, we ain't got to look these words up. Well, okay, well then, in that case then, that says gay clothing then. What that mean, guys? Let's look that up. Lambros. Root word like lamp, like a light. Radiant, limpid, magnificent. Look at this, guys. Bright, clear, gay, goodly, gorgeous, white. Like a lamp. Like a lamp. Lampros. That's what that means. He was decked out. Just like in some cultures, the word nice means stupid. It means to not know. That's what it means. For those who didn't know. Watch this. We're going to type in define nice. Let's go to Google real quick. Define nice. Look it up. Let's look up the word nice. Are you a nice person, guys? You nice? So one, we have pleasant. We have agreeable, satisfactory, right? Oh, I'm nice. Right? Fine and suitable. But get this. Let's go to the origin. So like today, this is what nice means. You're a nice person. But let's go to the origins of that word. That means you don't know nothing. Not know. Not know. Ignorant. Stupid. See that? So understand that you're going to have to, dealing with language and words, you have to understand the culture behind the word. So Latin, ignorant. Latin, not know. Middle English, stupid. So it says Middle English in the sense stupid. From Old French, Latin, nicius, ignorant. From nasir, not know. I mean, you don't know nothing. See that? So understanding, when looking at words, it's always good to understand the culture behind the word. It's no different from the Bible. When looking up the word for concubine, you understand the culture behind the word. No different from all these other words. So ladies and gentlemen, Hopefully this was helpful. Check out my YouTube videos. Definitely check out the last video I did on my Shootah page. This here I did a breakdown of 1 Corinthians 7 and 2. Here. Definitely watch that video next. Definitely watch that. Alright. So I did a breakdown of that. 1 Corinthians 7 and 2, dealing with fornication and how they twist that scripture as well. Hopefully this was helpful. I just want to say all praise to the Most High, name is only begotten beloved Son. Shalom.